This is Chapter 5, Tips for Course Beginnings, taken from the Online Teaching and Survival Guide, Simple and Practical Tips. Brought to you by Team 2, Nicole Brown, Erica Bustos, Katie Capps, Catherine Clark, and Tiffany Summers. This chapter provides an overview of 10 tips for beginning and launching the online course, including 6 tips which describe tasks to be completed to ensure a smooth launch of the course, 3 tips which focus on effective use of the discussion boards, and 1 tip which describes how the role of the facilitator changes throughout the online course. Part 1, Introducing the course and the social learning community. The following items should be completed at the start of the course. The first of these is the syllabus. Like the face-to-face course, the online syllabus serves to provide an overview for the course in terms of course expectations, specific assignments, and core learning principles. The syllabus for the online class differs in some specific ways that will be covered in a few moments. In addition, the instructor will wish to create a series of weekly plans in the form of mini lectures. These help to establish an online teaching presence, as well as provide a preview of the learning experiences and core concepts. In addition, instructors will wish to plan for discussions, which are the lifeblood of the course. Experienced instructors will plan both discussions and rubrics pertaining to the discussions in advance so that students know exactly what is expected. Finally, if the school site has yet to do so, instructors will want to select a course management system. This is the virtual classroom of the online course and a place where students and instructors meet, discuss, teach, submit assignments, and receive grades. The first section ends with a quick to-do list which is geared toward first-time online instructors. It contains practical tips such as ordering texts, filling out the paperwork for online site, checking to see if there is a pre-made course template, and asking trusted colleagues for feedback. Tip number 2, how to get through the first weeks. Before the course begins, instructors will want to send out an email introducing themselves and welcoming students to the course. Instructors should make sure that students can access the site before the course begins, and also ascertain if students have the proper login information and passwords to function on the course site and on the discussion board. Tip 3, the difference of an online syllabus. As stated earlier, the face-to-face and online syllabus have some key differences. The online syllabus must include technical information regarding the mechanics of the class, including the policies of online communications and etiquette, as well as technical troubleshooting. Establishing a social presence. Instructors should establish a regular presence online and interact with the students on a regular basis in order for students to feel like they are a key part of the course. In addition to this, instructors should be clear about the times they will or won't be available. The virtual world can be isolating, and unless told otherwise, students might expect instructor availability 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. However, they tend to be more understanding and less anxious when clear communication guidelines are established. In addition, instructors should make regular use of the announcement tool to touch bases with students, and even plan live collaboration time with programs such as Adobe Connect, Wimba, and Illuminate. That way students can meet face-to-face online and feel like they're more a part of the course. Get to know students individually. Vygotsky's CPD. One question is, how do I get to know my students' zone of proximal development? How do I find out what they know now? This can be pretty tricky when you're not actually meeting students face-to-face. It is important for instructors to get to know students socially first, and then cognitively. Have students respond to the course performance outcomes and reflect on their own goals. Doing this will help to establish an idea of individual personalities behind the names, as well as a baseline idea for the individual zone of proximal development. However, the social aspect cannot be underestimated. Start off the course with a question about getting to know your students, and also take time to introduce yourself. 6. Finding the ideal weekly rhythm. For the online instructor, it's crucial to determine the weekly workload for students. In determining this, it is important to take into account that many online students have work schedules and outside obligations. Keeping this in mind, the instructor can be fair when creating activities and establishing deadlines. 6. Finding the ideal weekly rhythm. For the online instructor, it is crucial to determine what the weekly workload will be for students. In determining this, it is important to take into account that many online students have work schedules and outside obligations. Keeping this in mind, the instructor can be fair when creating activities and establishing deadlines. 7. The role of the discussion board in the course. The discussion board serves many purposes. For the student, it is a place to explore and process new learning by connecting with his or her peers. For the instructor, it provides a key mode of assessing students in that it provides direct data for student learning. It also enables both students and instructors to get to know one another better, hopefully providing a personalized learning experience for the student. Some practical tips for managing the discussion board include posting no more than 2 to 3 short answer essay or 1 or 2 complex discussion questions weekly. Have a deadline for initial postings and another deadline for responses so that students will be encouraged to post early. Keep project deadlines in mind when assigning discussion posts and avoid questions with right or wrong or one-word answers. 9. Good discussions, characteristics, and managing and evaluating. A fruitful discussion is based on constructivist principles. The learner takes new information and transforms and interprets it, thus building new neural connections. This is to be kept in mind when creating assignments and response assignments. The instructor will also wish to use a variety of question types, such as problem solving or Socratic questions. Having a rubric for questions and responses was mentioned earlier, and to build on that, an instructor should allocate points to students for both. In terms of responses, students building on one another's ideas is the ideal, much like a discussion in a face-to-face classroom. It is important to eliminate any scenarios where vague, obligatory responses such as I agree or good, yes, are the norm. The role of the instructor in the first weeks. It is important in the first weeks to seek a balance in the communication mode. However, as the course progresses, things will change. Faculty to learner will predominate in the beginning, and instructors should be looking ahead to the end of the course, where peer-to-peer communication will predominate. For more experienced online learners, that of the team will emerge, with team members acting in roles that the facilitator assumes in the beginning of the course. And with this in mind, the instructor should have a sense of how to be a part of discussions and how to step back. In addition, he or she should provide a forum for students to communicate with one another and should be clear about his or her role in the discussion. Finally, here is a suggested timeline of the role of the instructor over the duration of the course. The instructor begins as a social negotiator, helping students to get to know one another and to clarify expectations. But by the end of the course, he or she will have taken on the role of the facilitator. And that is 10 tips for starting the online course.